for what a lot of us are just so proud of, and that is the Distinguished Member Awards. These will be the first of these awards, and the guy that honchoed this whole thing is AVVBA Director Bill Miller. So Bill, I have asked Bill to come up and give us a little bit of background about what the awards represent and whatever else I guess you want to talk about, Bill. So come on up.
Thank you, Skip. In a few minutes, we're going to make the first award of the Distinguished Service Award for AVBA. And as all of you know, there are many members who serve this community and serve the veterans and serve this organization above and beyond the call of duty. And it is appropriate that we recognize them on an individual basis. And so today we will start that process. I want to give you a little background on it and show you where we're going to go with that in the future. This is an initiative of the Board of Directors, as I said, to recognize those who have really provided distinguished service to this organization and particularly to the veterans. We want to emphasize that this is a veteran-oriented award. The award will be officially designated in our charter as the AVVBA Distinguished Service Award. It will consist of a perpetual plaque in which the names of the awardees will be inscribed in a permanent way, and Skip shows you that here. And over a period of time, we'll be able to keep up with that, with the names and the dates of all the awardees. And this will be displayed at every meeting that we have here and every appropriate social event that we have with the organization. Now, in addition to the perpetual plaque, we will have individual awards, and they may vary, but they will be personalized and presented to those distinguished members that we select. Now, the process is very straightforward. Nominations will be taken from the members of the organization in good standing. The nominations will come directly from you, and the process will be that those nominations will be reviewed by the Board of Directors and a selection will be made, and then the process will proceed. Now, we're going to start that next year. You can expect that early next year we will provide information on how to do the nomination, what the criteria will consist of, and the process that we'll go through to make the selection. Now, the first two awards will be presented here in just a few moments, and thereafter future awards will be made on an annual basis. Now, when I say an annual basis, it's our goal not to exceed so many awards that it loses value, but it will be at the call of the Board of Directors as to the number of awards that would be given in any given year. In general, we want to have as a goal and anticipate only one award per year, but that can change. And now we'll proceed with the presentation of the first award and introduce Rod. Rod is over here. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's a bright light, isn't it?
That's all right. You're good.
First of all, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity of being in this position. I get to talk about somebody that was a friend. He was an AVVBA contributor in one of the largest ways of anybody in this room. He was a hero. There are a lot of heroes in our midst today. I look around this room. I'm not one, but there are a lot of them that are. And I think of the things that you have done. Rick was the essence of a legend in so many ways. And I didn't fly helicopters. I got to fly in some. But in Rick's case, he was an aviator's aviator, but he also, and I talked about this with a number of people who attended your Helicopter Pilots Association meetings that you have very frequently to applaud your own. But Rick would never have done that. But what Rick was doing is he was also the person in the corner that all of you guys that flew helicopters were listening to. Tells you a lot about who he was. I had the privilege of speaking at his funeral back in January. Try not to be redundant, but some things still need to be said. But Rick was a man's man, like I said. He was, without a doubt, a person that gave glue to our organization in more ways than you can imagine. I mean, he was involved with as being the president of this group. He was involved as being a foundation member, instrumental in what we did at the USO, instrumental in what we did at the History Center. And there was an inextricable link between what the History Center was doing as relates to our group and Rick Lester. There's no question he kept that together and made it what it is. I'll give you a specific example. Sheffield Hale and Sue Verhoff, who's back at the back, works with Sheffield. Sheffield came to Rick's service. He sat at the back. I didn't even know he was there. After it was over, he came up. He said, I don't know that I've been impacted by something as much as that service. And I've got to read this because I can't do justice to it otherwise. And this is an email he sent me the day after that service. He said, I had no idea I was going to be impacted like this. It turned out to be a much more emotional service than I ever anticipated. The connection with AVVBA has been a true highlight of my tenure here at the History Center. That says a lot. This magazine, if you haven't seen it, I commend it to you. Inside this magazine is a great article about Rick Lester. And Sheffield took the time to write this himself. There it is, and I commend it to you again. If you haven't seen it, take the time to read it. I think back on what Rick did for all of us in so many ways. Just countless efforts behind the scenes. I first met Rick, and those of you that know Rick, you don't have a short conversation with Rick. It's generally for a few minutes or so. And he came to I was a Secretary Treasurer of AVVBA in its infancy many years ago. I was actually about 20 years old. But no, it was a long time ago, back in the early 80s. And then Rick, among other things, made an immediate impact. Though he was not technically a member of the organization at that time, he quickly came on board. And his efforts were manifested in a very great way for us. He arranged with Colin Powell, who at the time was at FORSCOM back in early '89, for us to go out there. There were 4 of us that went out there and made him an honorary member of our group. Rick facilitated that as much as anybody could do at that point. I mean, I think there's no question his contributions are well chronicled in so many places about our organization, and they're forever etched. And I think this award today is a permanent manifestation of the efforts that he made on our behalf. And it's a privilege to call him a friend for so many years. And I cannot tell you, I said this at the funeral, I got to say it again, because 2 things are important to remember. I think about Rick. Jackie Robinson, who was one of my favorite athletes, and in my time with the Olympics, I got to spend some time with a fellow named Rayford Johnson, who gave me a lot of information about him. And his favorite quote was, "Life has no significance unless you're impacting the lives of other people." Now, that was Rick Lester. He impacted more lives than I could possibly imagine. He was a model for me. He did more things in more ways than we can ever imagine. We can think about it, talk about it forever, but I look at his family here today. We're blessed to have Jane, his wife, Jonathan, his son, and Roman, his grandson, here, who, I look at Jonathan and I see that uniform with that pilot right here. He's working in the Air Force, guys, today, and doing a lot of work, and he's going to be flying with Delta shortly. But their manifestations through osmosis and leadership of what they have become as individuals. Rick made it happen. All of us. I'm a better man because I knew Rick Lester. No question about it. The second thing I will say is that on my granddad's grave in North Carolina was little simple saying. It said, to live in the hearts of those you leave behind is not to die. And I think that's where I see Rick today. He may not be physically present, but he's felt here. I can assure you that not many days that go by that I don't think about him. And I just appreciate Jane and Jonathan and Roman, you sharing him with us on so many levels. What he did, and I go back to the History Center, the Sacred Soil event that we had down there, the Veterans Park that we had down there, and his relationship with so many people there in that event, and those groups of people that got together. Rick took it on himself. I don't know how he did it, and I didn't ask any questions, but I know he did it. And I will say this, that at the end of the day, did I do something? Did I screw something up?
Yep.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Okay.
I'll figure out.
All I will say is this, is I think, and Don Plunkett was a friend. Don and I, and John's going to talk about that, were friends from the infancy of our organization as well, and he meant a lot. Rick meant a lot to all of us, and I think I would ask you to stand up for a second, stand and acknowledge him, salute a good man, if you would. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
Get reconstitute what I screwed up.
That's all right. If that's the worst thing that happens this week, it'll be a good week. So hang on, folks. I'm going to get us back on here if I can figure out how to do it. You know, computers are wonderful things when they work. While we're, can we go ahead and present the award? Come on up. Ignore the screen, folks, if you don't mind. So it is with great humility that we present this award to the Lester family on behalf of a truly great man. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
John, do you want to go ahead and say a few words?
Sure, I will.
Well, and let me give you this. You talk, and
No, I
I'm
don't
gonna-
need that. That scares me. So,
Okay.
well, Rod, thanks for the tribute. I can't match that by any means. I just want to say, it's humbling to be here and to see the effect that my dad had on everybody, which is great. But your organization meant a lot to him, and it's humbling to see that that he meant a lot to your organization as well. So on behalf of my mom and my family, just want to say thank you for the honor, and we're happy to be here. So thank you very much.
John Butler. And I'll get that picture up here as soon as I can. Well, I don't know. You can try.
Thanks for screwing up the technology, Rod.
There we go.
You've always got to do something.
Here we go. Yeah,
I did so you wouldn't do it.
good.
That,
Thank you.
I'll try not to touch the screen or the keyboard and make anything messed up. I really appreciate the opportunity to recognize and speak a moment about Don Plunkett. Don, as you know, was a founding member of the AVVBA. His quiet but powerful leadership was both selfless and infectious, and it resulted in countless Vietnam veterans coming into the embrace of this great organization. He personally connected with each of us in deep, meaningful ways. When Don talked with any of us, it was as if we were the only person in the world. His Christian faith was evident in the way he lived, and he went out of his way to help others and serve them. Holy Innocents Episcopal Church was a large part of Don's life, where he served as a scoutmaster of Boy Scout Troop 406 for many years and received various accolades, including one of the highest volunteer awards in scouting, the Silver Beaver. That award is significant, and it perfectly illustrates Don's never-ending devotion to making a positive impact on the lives of young people. His commitment to being a role model and making a positive impact on the lives of others carried over into his professional life and his life for service to his fellow veterans, especially his Vietnam veterans. His example inspired us to lead by example and serve in serving our fellow veterans. As I've often shared, I met Don in the parking lot of an office complex. I was getting out of my car and happened to have a generic veterans tag on it. And he was driving behind me. He stopped and rolled his window down. And he asked if I was a Vietnam veteran, I guess because I looked old. Although I wasn't, of course.
It's because you're so handsome.
That's right. Thank you, Skip. Not in front of other people. He asked if I was a Vietnam veteran, and I said I was. And he said, I am too. Welcome home. And no one had ever said that to me before. And it stopped me. And he said, I'd like you to go to a lunch meeting with me, which had been really weird, except for some reason with Don, it just wasn't. So I went. It was a life-changing experience for me. I have no idea how many other guys like me Don personally brought into AVVBA, but it was so natural for him, there had to be a lot of us. His leadership freed me and countless others to begin to heal from the wounds we experienced when we came home. His example taught us that healing comes from serving others, especially other veterans. Don never met a stranger and was a valued friend to thousands of people from every walk of life. On behalf of all those people, I say I am proud and truly blessed to say he was my friend. If the family that's here, and family and friends of Don would stand so we could recognize them, I would appreciate that. And if the rest of you will stand as we did before and salute and honor Don, we'd appreciate that too. All right, Skip.
And so it is with great humility and honor that I present this award to the Plunkett family. And who wants to take it?
Granddaughter. One of Don. Yeah.
This organization meant a lot to Don, and the gifts that I brought today helped us get through 2.5 hard years. And I thank all of you for being here, but I thank all of you for being friends. So many people got in touch with us many, many times, and it meant so much to him. You don't realize when you go through an illness how important it is to have a friend. And when you just take a minute, you think, well, I don't want to bother that person, but it doesn't really. It helps them make it through. He never gave up. He fought really hard, and I really think it's because of all the support that we received from all of you. And I thank you very much. You want to say something, Rebecca? Just tell them a story.
Okay. I'm Rebecca. I'm one of Don's 13 grandchildren. I'm glad to be here and so honored to see how many people are here to share this with us, and we're very thankful. My grandfather left behind the heritage, the fruit of a Christian life in so many ways, and those of you who are associated with AVVBA know that in a very special way. To the world, he was Don Plunkett, but to me, he has been and always will be my pop, who I adored in life and who I remember now with ever-growing admiration and fondness. My pop not only looked out for the interests of his friends, but he did that for his family too. Throughout the many years of his life, he untiringly sought the good of his family. For From teaching me how to read a tide chart to teaching me how to grill, how to operate his boat on the open sea or his trains here in Sandy Springs, I treasure the memories of the things I learned to do alongside my pop. He taught his grandchildren how to operate his bright yellow moped, not on the open road, but by doing countless circles in his circular driveway outside his house. One Easter Sunday morning when my family was in Charleston over the holiday of Easter, my great-uncle Ron came and took 2 of my siblings to church, and the other 5 of us thought we'd gotten off scot-free and could play the day away in the pool. Not so with my pop around. He had us scrub the pool decks to make them shiny and clean while singing hymns, and he called it pool church. From drilling us to march in military order into the kitchen to eat Mimi's delicious cooking, to changing my tears to smiles through his jokes. My memories of this great man are filled with the fun and tenderness of a man who loved his family and friends very well. Thank you.
So I have one other Don Plunkett story that I heard secondhand. Don was a graduate of the Citadel, along with his brother Ron, and the rumor has it, and I'll defer to George Consuegra if he can verify it, but I understand that they actually broke records for the number of demerits that were given at the Citadel. And I'm a North Georgia guy, and I know about demerits too, but that struck a chord with me when I heard that, because I know what he did to get them. So thank you very much to the Lester family and the Plunkett family for being part of this, and of course thanks to Rick and to Don for being our first distinguished members, and that's some big shoes to fill for whoever else replaces that.